Welcome back to our Scala to Spark class. On continuing our day 33, let's learn how to load the already present machine learning model. So using this Spark MLlib library. So actually it turns out it's quite simple, right? So in our previous lesson, we learned how to save the creative pipeline, basically just a big overview of a pipeline, of possible pipeline, and then at some moment we actually save this model, right? Again, and the only thing to load it, so we'll need to know what type of model it is. That's the only thing. We can just say, okay, load model, and it automatically will appear. So we didn't know that we used train validation split model because it actually includes everything else, right? We had actually a whole pipeline right there, so it includes logistic regression underneath, right? There's also split happening and everything, right? So we will need to basically use this to know the name of the type of model we use, but otherwise it's pretty straightforward. So let's do it. And we can do it here in Scala, day 33, let's call class. Day 33, we are saying day 33, loading model, right? ML model, add extends app, right? And of course now, in the book, right? We can load it. So that's the only thing we need to know, basically, what it is, right? So we need to know, of course, location as well, of course, right? So loading model, and we need to know it, right? So in this case, we use train validations. So basically, this, of course, we need also, this will work, right? But we won't have anything to use it with, right? We can do this, right? And of course, import it, right? That's fine, right? And of course, it's not temp model location. It's actually where? It's in temp. And again, since it's not, I did not include this in Git, so I will basically need to have a where's my copy path reference, right? From absolute path no, from content from root, right? Or repository root, right? So I will use this. Again, notice, remember, you have to first save it, right? Remember, this is not, remember, location. You know, location, my path, model path, well, model path, right? Remember, we do not have this model in Git. You need to save it first, right? So in previous notebook, in previous app, right? So okay, so I will load it, model path, right? And now, okay, so this should work. Let's see, but of course we can't really do anything because we don't have a data frame with it, right? We can run it, right? Let's see if this works, right? We'll just basically just load, right? It will be enough. And no, actually it does not work. It does not work because master URL must be in your configuration, right? Because there's no Spark context. We don't have a Spark engine, right? So we do need a Spark key, right? We need our Spark, so we do need that to get Spark, of course, Spark key. It's my utility. Let's run it now. Will that help? Yeah, 3.22, right? And now, will it work? It's loading, taking a while. I mean, there's 90 files there. It's pretty, you know, relatively. Yeah. So model is ready to go. Looks like it's good, right? Again, it's called train validation split model in this case, right? So let's give it some data, right? We want some data. We can use, I'll just basically, of course, it'd be better to use something else. What did I read? Okay, so we use that, right? And I'll just do maybe, you know, I could do it for everything, right? Of course, right? I'll do that. And I will use that whole thing, right? I'll use this whole thing. And let's see here, right? Cancel. That's our df. So this includes everything. I'm not even no split or anything. I'll just run it through. So transform df is okay. Is it going to be what? Model transform right? And data set. What's our data set? It's our DF, right? So this should be a data frame, right? It's data frame in, data frame out. Again, it's all about. Again, Spark is all about these immutable transitions, right? Something comes in and something comes out. Okay, and let's see what we have then, right? Let's do transform the DF, right? Show, maybe 10 and false, right? And so we'll see some 10 rows. We should see predictions, right? And also, of course, the original data. Let's see if this works. Right, let's see if this actually does work. Again, so our big test. Again, I didn't do, of course, we have to pretend that this data is not actually one used in training, of course, right? But let's see how well it works, of course. So part of it was used in training, part of it was not. Actually, it was used, actually everything was used in training. So it should be, of course, pretty good. It will be much more useful, right? Okay, so it works. So we can use this in production, right? Only thing is, right, you just supply make a command, where this file is, right? It actually does work, right? You make sure these files coming in are same format as the one we use for training, and it's working, right? So predictions 1, label 1, of course. So somewhere it should be also. Again, the probabilities, as we know, are very high. We see the probabilities, of course, raw prediction and probability. And so again, what's interesting here is the probability here is not that clear cut, right? It's interesting actually, right? It's not 100%. It's not only 70%, right? 68% here, right? I mean, it seems to work pretty well, right? But it was not straightforward. Again, we use logistic regression, we use some other things there, right? The algorithm we use here, right? Which use these probabilities. Not all algorithms are probability based, by the way, right? So this one is. Okay, but yeah, it works. So you can use it in production, technically speaking. Of course, if you like, we saw it was how many? It was about 90% accurate. Again, on this particular data, we see everything. Of course, you can select what you want. That's the actual value, right? And so we can predict. The good, bad, good. So basically, we're saying good or bad. This is what we are predicting. So this is what we are predicting. Is it good or bad, right? Good or bad data. Is this good apple or bad apple, right? Anything, right? Again, these features could be anything. Okay, all right. So we see a full working pipeline. We learn how to load an already existing model, and only thing needed to do this is to have the type of model it is, right? You need to know what type it is, right? So, for example, if you had just a plain logistic regression model manual, we would just call the logistic regression model, for example, or cross-fault data model, so on and so on. But this, of course, is a full model. You could say with all the extras, right? Of course. So, of course, ideally, of course, here we are using already data we actually use to train it, but in the real world we would have new data to transform, of course, right? Of course. Okay, right. So thank you for this little example of how to read the model, and we will continue with data pre-processing.